Dan McCormick and everyone watching this, what a moment. I believe these are moments where, if you look back, this might be a defining moment where everything changes in your life because we got some ideas, some golden nuggets that can change everything. One of the big things that really affected me when I first heard about this idea of being with a group of people with the ideal business, which is network marketing with the right company, with the right people, with the right leadership, the right product, all of that sort of stuff. And in a growth environment, there's just no better way to live your life. Being involved in great conversations with great people, it rubs off on you. And one of the things I first heard is where you will be in the future depends on the books you read, the people you associate with, what you listen to, and here's something to listen to, and here's a person to associate with. And we're going to talk about some other people we can associate with that are long gone, but across time and
Yeah.
space, we can still reach those people and they can move us through hearing their voice, through recordings, reading their books. And oh my goodness, there's just such a powerful thing. We become what we think about. And why not direct our lives by directing our thoughts, choosing some really good mental food? And so, Dan, you're a master talking about association with great people. You were just going along like probably many other people, but you had the privilege of being with some special people that turned your whole life around. Some of them we haven't heard of, business owners of tennis courts and stuff. But I want to hear your story one more time.
That's
So,
great. Well, first of all, thanks for inviting me, and congratulations to all the people that'll join here today live and that'll listen on replay. And it's just great to have a friendship with you and others that we have mutual friends with, and Larry and other people that you and I know about. But we've certainly been blessed in our life from Lake Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, to be on the lake this morning. I'd got up bright and early for a bike ride. If I was in a live audience, I would ask everybody, how many have a morning routine? And I'd ask people to raise their hands. And you and I both love the idea of the first thoughts that go into our mind in the morning. Well, gratitude for those people that have been on our path, right? For me, I was fortunate to grow up as a young man with no self-esteem, no self-worth. Certainly didn't have any net worth growing up in Seattle, Washington. I had a opportunity to build tennis courts and string tennis rackets, went to Washington State University, and I would ask the audience to raise their hand if they had a college experience. And certainly a lot of people had a college experience. Now, how many of you can say you finished in just 2 weeks' time? Well, I finished in 2 weeks' time. That doesn't mean I had the degree, but I finished, and I got a reckless driving ticket driving home from Pullman, Washington, back to Kirkland, Washington. And lo and behold, the next summer, Dave, was when I learned about that famous phrase, and that readers are leaders. I'd never heard the name Og Mandino as a 19-year-old. Somebody told me about those magical words from the book, The Greatest Salesman in the World, the journalized version, The Greatest Secret in the World. So Dave, when I learned that readers are leaders, I figured I better start reading. I had ADD, I had ADHD, I had a challenge with concentration. That's why I left school after 2 weeks with a knee injury, and I could not function mentally. And so when I started reading Og's book, and he says in that first scroll in The Greatest Salesman, now 1968, the great Rich DeVos put that on stage and said, hey, Og Mandino, everybody needs to read this book. So 1968, we're talking, nearly 50 years almost, 40 some odd years. But I'm here to say that is just as relevant today when you open that book and you read those scrolls, those 10 magical scrolls. That first scroll that Og comes at us with as from the paradigm of an alcoholic. I read the book for years not knowing that. But today I begin a new life, Og says. And then scroll number 2 struck me so powerfully because he says, I will greet this day with love in my heart. Now, I didn't know what love was because I was in the world of competition. I was in the world of tennis and always trying to be better and faster and stronger in athletics. But that was and is a lifelong meditation for me to say, I will greet this day with love in my heart. And so, Dave, my wife and I were just at the right place at the right time. We passed our first $1 million. I was 22 years of age. And it was an incredible journey. On that journey to meet Jim Rohn and travel the world with Jim Rohn, not knowing who Jim Rohn was. All of us know more about Jim today than anyone knew when I traveled with Jim because so much is available in audio form. And so you and I had the good fortune of listening to things like thoughts are things. What you think about, you bring about. Like, how can you become what you're not thinking about, right? And so I had good fortune with Og Mandino in my life. My wife had Stephen Covey as a professor in college. And so to be able to have the influence of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People in the mid 80s and early 80s, as my wife did, and take that to my life. So I've been around these people that gave us great food. And you and I could talk about Napoleon Hill. We could talk about Sterling W. Sill. We could talk about Zig Ziglar. We could talk about Neville Goddard. We could talk about a lot of the old names that brought us that incredible fruit. That if you want to change the fruit, you've got to change the root. And the route for me changed about 3 years ago, September. And it was when I walked into a convention and my assistant made me register. And she said, we're selling the book Miracle Morning. Now, how many of you have a copy of Miracle Morning? If you want to raise your hand for the screen, you can. If you want to put it in chat, you can. If you have a copy of Miracle Morning, I did not at the time. And I kind of thought, Dave, I'm on a plateau. And I'm just fine with doing my morning ritual the way I do it. I have my journal right here. I keep this journal with me every day. I write down thoughts of people, thoughts of ideas and things that I'm reading. It can be uplifting. It can be other people I'm thinking about, pondering, praying for, etc. And then I have another journal with me where I write down my I am affirmations. We'll get into that in a minute. But I had a rhythm and I was stuck. I just sat there and I was stuck for the better part of 10 years. Now, a lot of people wouldn't think it was being stuck, but I was plateaued and I needed a transformational ignition switch. And that was Miracle Morning. I met Hal Elrod and had the good fortune of being inspired by him, his affirmations. And he says in his book that there's 3 major significant things. And you have to be able to be willing to wake up every morning and know that you're just as worthy, deserving, and capable as anyone else on the planet to accomplish anything. And we're going to have close to 100 people watching this live right now. And if we all say, I know, those are the 3 paradigms that he has in that book, that I'm just as worthy, deserving, and capable as anyone else on the planet, that was the inspiration for me. And I like to use the phrase that what got you here won't get you there. And so when I read that book, that ignition, I watched his documentary on Amazon or Vimeo or one of those. And the documentary, when he had a head-on collision, was pronounced dead for 11 seconds, 6 seconds, 11 broken bones, said he may never have full capacity of his mind again. And so the transformation of Miracle Morning for me was amazing. And I told my wife, I said, look, I think I want to write a book. She says, why do you want to write a book? And I said, I think we can be a bigger light to the world. We can add more value, more positivity, more upliftment. And I was fortunate to meet Ken Shelton. Ken Shelton is who wrote 7 Habits of Highly Effective People for Covey. He wrote Principle-Centered Leadership with Covey. And lo and behold, he's the co-author on my book, Awakening Who I Am. And Dave, when you and I got together, was it last summer or the summer before? I think it was last summer. And you got the coin, right? The coin that says, I am a magnet for miracles. And I like to wake up every day and know that I am a magnet for miracles. Einstein said that we either take a look at the world that everything is a miracle or nothing is a miracle. I go with everything. The fact that we got nearly 100 people on the live broadcast right here, all of us can look at the world and say, there's miracles in our lives today. And so I chose the 7 affirmations and the subtitle here, the 2 words that ignite transformation. Now, transformation requires inspiration. If you have a library, maybe put it in chat, you've got a library of books. And you and I, Dave, love investing in books and tapes and good food, as you said at the outset, for the brain. Well, Og said in the 4th scroll of his book, and I never looked at it like this, Dave. He says, I am nature's greatest miracle. Now, Og didn't write in affirmation form. He wrote in scroll form. And he was an amazing writer. He articulated the story of the greatest salesman so beautifully. Few could ever write like that. The inspiration, as Og liked to say, when he wrote those scrolls, he sat at the typewriter. Betty would bring him coffee late that night. And he likes to say he was there when the typewriter was moving and he wrote those 10 scrolls. That's the inspiration that downloaded to Og. And any of you, I got truth bumps right now just telling the story because I can visualize, I can feel. Neville Goddard said, feeling is the secret, which is why we make the coin available for people like you and teams to feel those affirmations, to know on one side of the coin is 7 affirmations in my book. And then, of course, I'm a magnet for miracles. Neville Goddard said, feeling is the secret. Maybe write that in chat if you like. Feeling is the secret. We love to feel. Even Bob Proctor, when he had Price Pritchett on one of his interviews, said, Price Pritchett, who wrote the great book U Squared, said, one of the things I like to do is I like to feel the people I'm praying for, the goals that I have. I like to write them down. I like to feel, right? And we like to, I call it sensory stacking. We put all those things in place. And so when Og said, I am nature's greatest miracle, Dave, it was the ignition for me, and the download started. What are the 7 affirmations that we can put in our mind, first thoughts, first thing, first light? And when we think, well, what's the magic of that? Well, the magic of that is a science called neurogenesis. And those baby nerve cells that are born every night when we sleep, new baby nerve cells are being born. So what do you think would be the best thing? You can put it in chat if you want. What would be the best words, phrases, ideas to put into your mind first thing? Would it be looking at email? Would it be going to Facebook? Would it be looking at anything on social media? Would it be reading newspapers? Would it be watching the news? No, those wouldn't be intentional. Now, my first affirmation in the book, Dave, is I am a creator. And Napoleon Hill liked to talk about imagination, right? So when we are creators, we're creating our day with the right thoughts, the right things, the right phrases. And so we go through in the book and talk about, why is that important? I am a creator. Why do we feel like we get to create businesses, and you get to create product successes, and you get to create new friendships? My wife is magical at creating memories. So this weekend, we've got grandkids landing in a few minutes here. The idea is to create memories for the grandkids and the family. We create memories by having Zoom events like this, live broadcasts like this. We create memories. So what are you a creator of? I am a creator, and you can fill in the blank, because here's something for us all to write down. And Jim Rohn used to be very fond, Dave, of making sure that everybody had their journal with them, right? Everybody had a pen. You always have 2 books with you, one to read and one to write in. And that's because the mind forgets things. Paper never does. The pen never does. So I love the idea that what follows I am follows you. So Dave, when we did all the research on the book, of course, we can go back to the biblical times. We can look at Old Testament, New Testament. We can look at other affirmation meanings. But in Sanskrit, I means exist. Am means with God. So what follows I am follows you. It's truly a prescription for your life. Now, if you're going to wake up and say, oh, it's Monday, I'm sick, I'm tired, I'm fat, I'm lazy, I'm old, all of those are prescriptions for your life. So Dave, do you remember the great martial artist Bruce Lee?
Oh, yes.
Okay, Bruce Lee, everybody, I grew up in Seattle, so Bruce has obviously spent a lot of time in Seattle, and he had this incredible phrase, and I put it in the book, I believe. You never want to mess with words. Don't even joke, I believe is his exact words, with the words that you use or utter, because the body doesn't know the difference. Bruce Lee was so disciplined in his workouts, his routines, his sleep, his hydration, his exercise, his focus, his words. Don't even joke about the words you use, because the poet Hafiz said, the words you use become the house you live in. So Dave, I'll pause here and see if you have any questions, comments. I can go through the other 6 affirmations if you want. I can keep flowing, but I just want to pause and just kind of let you chime in. It's your show, it's your team, and I just want to thank everybody for being here. I want to contribute and serve as another 15, 20 minutes, take questions, whatever we can do it, however you want to go.
Well, I was just thinking, when you talked about Bruce Lee, Valerie had the opportunity to be trained when she was a triathlete with Ben Greenfield, who is pretty famous in that department. And she was real nervous. And she says, what do you think when you have those thoughts. And he just interrupted her and says, I don't think those thoughts. Just very disciplined in everything, and everything works all together. We're all complete. And yeah, thoughts are things that affect every other thing. And one of my favorite ideas is when we read all of these books and hang around good people. Someone else said it, but I resemble it. Is some of my greatest thinking was already done by someone else. But what's so powerful is we can take somebody else's ideas, someone else's thoughts, and make them our own. And that is such a wonderful thing and really benefit. So yeah, think
I
really
love
good
that.
thoughts.
That is so true. Doug's not with us anymore. Jim's not with us anymore. We want to take phrases and ideas and words and statements and I am affirmations and make them our own. We want the words we use become the house we live in. So if you believe that words are important, like the Bible says, in the beginning was the word. And we know that words have value. As a matter of fact, my friend Dave Blanchard, who owns the Augmandino company, does a valued measurement of words. And it's exciting to know that they can measure through what they, at the University of Tennessee, what they call the science of axiology. They can measure the value of words. And it's really important that we truly use the highest quality words. Can we filter for higher quality phrases? I think the day we live in today, Dave, is one anxiety ridden because we have so many things at our fingertips, so many comparison ideas and social platforms. And so we want to filter. And I have a phrase that I use called flow before phone. Find your rhythm to your day, your writing, your creating, all that stuff before you go to your phone. One of my clients in my newsletter team, they put their phone in their closet, so they can't even have it until after they get their morning going. So it's a powerful thing to know. The second affirmation in the book is I am intentional. We talk about that because we want to be so proactive about I am a creator, I am intentional. And then I'm going to go into scroll affirmation number 3, which is I am present. And I want to tell you that I owe a lot of gratitude for my understanding of the present from my friend Hal, did the foreword to my book, and Dr. Benjamin Hardy. If anybody's familiar with Dr. Ben, his new book is called Scaling. But when he did the foreword to my book, his latest book was 10X is easier than 2X. I like to say that qualitatively, those that are on the journey with us right now, qualitatively, you can change and 10X your life starting today. If you want to change the way you say, I am a creator, I am intentional, I am present, to win the morning, what Ben taught me was this incredible idea. And I work with a lot of addicts, and I go to addiction recovery houses, and I speak at different recovery houses, and I really enjoy helping people reframe. We know that everybody right here today in their present. This is a really powerful idea. If Jim was speaking today, he'd say, okay, here you go. Here's a journal entry. In order to make your present better, make your future bigger. That's what Napoleon Hill was teaching us when he was talking about imagination. That's what Og was saying in so many of the scrolls. That's what I'm saying is I am intentional. I am present because I make my future bigger. And when I do that, I can look at the past, the wounds that have hurt me, the relationships, the finances, the people that have let us down, the decisions we've made, all of the hurt and the angst, and we can change it and say it happened for me, not to me. And so those are the first 3 affirmations in the book, Dave. And if anybody wants it, I give it away for free, by the way. Printed 1,000 copies. You can go to affirmim.com. At affirmim.com, you can just click the link, and I'll send you the book for the cost of shipping and printing. And it's just a fantastic thing to know how to win the morning. And if you want to add to your library, then you can go get a book for free, less than $10, and we'll ship it out to you. And make sure that it's part of your library, and we can help you reframe and 10X your life by changing the quality of your words. And then, Dave, as you change the quality, I like to say, then you can change the quantity. And if you want to change the quantity in building your team, your downline, your organization, maybe you add a comma to your paycheck. Wouldn't that be nice? You add a comma to your paycheck, it's usually a good thing. And I know that people are aspiring entrepreneurs on this broadcast here today. And I want to tell you that you're living in the most exciting time in history, and you've got incredible leadership from Dave and the products that he was just putting up on the screen, the incredible opportunity for people to go out there. This is your time. This is the most exciting time in history because the way innovation is happening, communication is happening, opportunity, health, awareness. And so those are the first three starter points, Dave. I am a creator, I am intentional, and I am present. I know you've read the book. I know you got the coin. Thoughts on any of that? Any questions you want to chime in on, Dave?
Oh my goodness. One of the things, just you're making me think lots of things, but I remember Jim Starnes, a banker who was introduced to this business. He said, any check that you get, he calls a significant check, is any check with a comma in it. You want to get a significant check.
I
I think
love
that's
that.
wonderful.
And
and
sometimes, if you really want to up your game, Jim Rohn would say, he'd say, don't just invite a millionaire come in and speak, but once in a while invite a billionaire. But that would, you want to get it in the 2 comma club, right? Not 1 comma, but 2 commas. So the 2 comma club is pretty exciting. Go ahead.
Well, another thing is, as far as association, he mentioned this a few times, and don't have an agenda, just be open and just think, oh, I'd like to get this person or whatever, but just have a goal to invite a rich person to lunch. And
Yeah.
with no real agenda, just to get to know them, ask them questions, and just think about that right there. What could you learn from them? And the most interesting idea is I've got a really good friend who went to the BYU Business School, at Marriott School of Business, and they would bring in rich people and have a lunch every week. And he talked about how, to be fair to everyone, you could only go once or twice or something. They had it scheduled out because a lot of people are going to want to go. But he said the most interesting thing was very few people took advantage of that and then never went. But what a neat idea, the association. And I remember some years ago having lunch with about 12 people and John Maxwell in Spokane, Washington. That was a real treat.
Yeah.
I've got some notes still from that. And
That's cool.
it's just really amazing. So that could be a goal. Think of somebody that you really admire that's in your area and ask them to go to lunch with you. And it would surprise you. They probably will. It's just very interesting. The other thing is words, how powerful they are. And I love listening to Jim Rohn because none of us can be just brilliantly spontaneous. And his words, everything he says is very carefully crafted. And it's just a joy listening to him. And that's what we should try to do. Zig Ziglar, he goes along and you think, wow, he's such a good storyteller. But if you hang around very much, all of a sudden, I already heard that story. And then if we really are at groupies, pretty soon it's going along in our head with him and we're loving it because we just, oh, he's going to pause here, he's going to smile here. And it's just so good. Larry Prophet, who we know, I just love Norman Vincent Peale. And he had such good words in the way he said that. And Larry would listen to him over and over and over again. And some of my favorite experiences with Larry Prophet is he would have all the inflections and pauses, and he had Norman Vincent Peale down.
So
and
good.
it's just, but yeah.
And Dave, that coincides really brilliantly. What you just said there about what Larry did is what I did with Og, and it's what I do with Hal. It's what I do with anybody that I want to study. Repetition is the mother of skill. You do get more schooled at being spontaneous. And think about what you just said about the mastermind idea, which came from Napoleon Hill, Writing and Think and Grow Rich. Think about the idea. Toastmasters is out there for you to go meet new people this week and practice your skill, right? Be in different organizations and events, different opportunities. Those are all out there. And yes, you can invite the local millionaire, billionaire, whoever that is aspiring success story to have lunch with you. And what a brilliant thing to say, who do you know that can help me on my journey? Let me show you what I'm doing. Let me see if you know anybody that can help me. So what an honor to be with you and hear about Larry studying Norman Vincent Peale. It's fun to go down that path. And again, liken what the great pearls of the real wisdom literature that's gone before us and liken it to our lives today.
Absolutely. In fact, let me put on chat here. Okay. Give me your website and I'll type that in.
It's Affirm, AFFIRM, IAM, affirmim.com. And when you go to affirmim.com, you can click on the link there. I think it's tools or resources. You can get the free book. And we also write a physical newsletter that we ship out. People that want accountability, a couple of dollars a week or a month. And we send out a physical express mail newsletter every month. going through this to help people filter, get higher quality thoughts, and really accomplish it. Two ladies, one lady from Arizona, a real estate gal, said she made more money last month than she ever had. Another lady from New York, maybe in her 60s, said the same thing. I want to truly help people level up and filter for higher quality. And that's why I love the subtitle. And that is the two words that ignite transformation. Transformation requires inspiration. You can go to affirmim.com and you can get the free book. Love to help you out.
Okay, so where are you going to be in the future? Books you read, people associate with, what you listen to. Having a good morning, one of the most wonderful things there is gratitude, and have a gratitude journal. And yeah, what we dwell on, I think just really close to the feeling of worship is just gratitude. They just fit together. If I'm in a situation where I'm maybe trying to say my prayers and it's just not, all I got to do is start thinking, thank you for this, thank you for that. And it's just a really powerful thing. And it's just, yeah, good stuff.
I love these comments in the Q&A here. Somebody asked, what are my favorite books? Well, certainly it would be The Greatest Salesman in the World, The Greatest Secret in the World. I call that one. Certainly Man's Search for Meaning. Obviously, that was Covey's favorite book. Bob Proctor's favorite book was Think and Grow Rich. You think about these kinds of things. There's like literally, I will say this as humbly as I can. The reason Awakening Who I Am, the book that I wrote with Ken Shelton, is my favorite, is because one of my coaches said, Dan, whatever you write in your book, make sure it's simple and it has flow and there's ways to memorize these things. So we explain that whole process of why the 7 affirmations are fun, simple, and magical. And we created the coin so that it can help you memorize it and that has that immediate impact on your life through the words. And so, yes, Darlene, it's great reminders for all of us. And there you go. In the beginning was the word. I am a lover of nature. You got some great I am affirmations here. I am an eternal being. This is great stuff. So fantastic to see all of everybody's comments there. I know that wherever you're at in your life today, somebody is out there waiting to meet you. Somebody is waiting for your phone call, for you to inspire them in their life with your product or your attitude or your opportunity. And I just couldn't be more grateful, Dave, to be here today. And hopefully we've left a few ideas, as you said at the beginning. Ideas can be life-changing, and you only need one. And that one idea that came from me that got me off my plateau, that 10x'd my life, qualitatively and quantitatively, was I am. And going all in on I am a magnet for miracles. I am nature's greatest miracle. And I will just quickly say, because we won't have time today, but when you get the book, you'll see the 4th scroll or the 4th affirmation. I am worthy. I am capable. I am compassion and empathy are the highest valued words mathematically, using that science of axiology. We closed the 7th affirmation in the book with this, and that is, I am a finisher. My mentor, my business partner, my friend, Nathan Ricks, unfortunately was flying out of Provo Airport 2 years ago, January, and crashed and passed away. But he gave a world famous speech called Be a Finisher. And so the 7th affirmation, biblically, yes, I am the author and the finisher. We can pull that out. But the 7th, what are you a finisher of today? Are you a finisher of the book you're reading, the business meeting you're doing? Are you a finisher of the project, cleaning the house, the garage, excuse me, whatever it might be? The 7th affirmation I love. My wife and I use it as a mantra around our house on every project now. I am a finisher. Dave, an honor to be with you. I hope today we finish strong, and know that everybody that's watching live or on replay will know that when you say I am a finisher, you're never going to get on that bike or that treadmill or whatever again. If you say I'm a finisher, you're going to finish.
Winners never quit, quitters never win. I will persist until I succeed.
Oof.
I was not born into this world in failure, in defeat, nor does failure course in my vein. Yeah, I'm not waiting to be prodded by my shepherd. I am a lion, and I refuse to walk, talk, or sleep with the sheep. Let the slaughterhouse of victory be, I don't know, stuff like that. But right at the end, it talks about just persisting, and it's omnipotent. Persistence and dedication are omnipotent. It's just nothing could take the place of that. And So yeah, my two favorite scrolls are I'll greet this day with love in my heart and I will persist until I succeed. And oh my goodness. And then thinking, oh my goodness, thinking the right stuff, hanging around the right people, being in an area, an environment where you've got something so good and you can feel it. We're at right now with our team. We're ready to really get going. And Jim, let's see, it's Stephen Covey. He talks about that if you want incremental results, which is what most of us in life are used to, is just linear moving along, then that's where we are. But if you want to have exponential or quantum growth, you change your paradigm. That's what this is, a paradigm or your mindset or your mental success tracks. Change the way you think, and you can have 10x. And
You can,
yeah,
for sure. Can start right now.
yeah, today's the new day,
Yep.
a new beginning.
You bet.
So
You bet.
get up early and begin not with Facebook, but with a good book and say your prayers, be nice. And one of the most wonderful feelings you'll ever experience is to follow promptings and
That's right.
realize that maybe you're the answer to someone else's prayer. And that's a cool thing.
Love that. Mind over mattress, and you'll have the best day ever and win the morning. If you win the morning, you can win the day. If you win the day, you can win the week. If you win the week, you can win a life.
That's right. Yeah. Okay, let's go do this. Hey, sure love you. And let's get together before you head back to California. Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for your comments. Hopefully, we'll send you out your book today.
Okay. Take care.
You will.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate you.